The power and passion, completely motivational, inspirational.
Show the author of this book, 7 Letters to Live By, R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Very noted motivational speaker and author. Good morning, sir.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Have you here, back home, as you said.
Absolutely, it's nice to be home.
The name of this book, 7 Letters to Live By, Respect. And you've been traveling all around talking to, mostly to young people.
I really want to make an impact and let the students know that there's an inner winner in them. If they just stay away from the gang activity and focus on living their dreams. There's a quote I always remember, my father, he says that whatever you do for yourself in life, you take it to your grave. What you do for other people, you leave it with them. So if I can do something greater than myself, then I've done a good deed in this planet.
What's the first message you try to get across to young people? Is it tolerance? Is it acceptance?
Finding your identity can be very challenging. Respect is such a powerful language now. For example, when I was working at Comcast Cable, I was in charge of a lot of people there. I had the same skill set and leadership skills as most of the other managers, but I used respect as an advantage so that my team can take it to another level.
It's interesting to me that you said a lot of the values that you got from your father, but isn't that the case with most youngsters?
You know, the challenge I think today in California I've seen is that sometimes there's a parent not home. You know, so you have one parent raising children, and then the television set becomes the other parent. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when I speak to students, I ask them, I encourage them to read. I've always said that if you don't plant flowers in your mind, weeds grow by default. So what are you planting in your mind? What are you reading?
Hey, tell us about this book, 7 Letters to Live By, Respect.
When I was growing up, my mother and my father taught me that respect is what I call the international and universal language.
Just recently you were with Comcast, so one of the biggest cable companies in the country.
In San Francisco, I was in charge of about 150 employees. After inspiring my team for several years, I decided to walk away from 150 and maybe I can impact 150,000. If not more.
You're going to be doing a book signing.
If you want to order my book real quickly, call 1-800-AUTHORS, 1-800-AUTHORS, extension 5025, and you can order my book.
And if you get a chance, you got to come down. You have to meet this man. He'll make you, kind of lift you up a little bit. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and good luck to you. And please come back when you're back in town. Please come back to the show.
Thank you and aloha. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
My first book is The Riches of Respect. Respect in a dictionary is defined as to esteem or to be honored. And I decided that because when I moved to California, there was a lot of my challenge here was a lot of different diversity here. As a leader, I became a leader of large corporations quickly, whether you're, white, black, Filipino, Caucasian, Latino. Respect is a universal language. I may not speak your language, but I respect you for who you are, and together we're going to move our businesses forward.
Then comes your second book,
right,
which is The Rewards of Respect. Satya, the king of Aloha, is representative of the Aloha spirit. Oahu is known as the gathering place. Satya obviously knows how to bring people together and to assist them in their future endeavors. I thought that really describes you in a few words.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Jody Bell. And thank you, Rosie, for introducing me to this wonderful organization today. Before I start, I want you to shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, "You got what it takes."
You got what it takes?
You got what it takes. My third book is called 7 Letters to Live By, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Now, I chose that topic because I believe that respect is a universal and international language. You know, there is over 100 different languages, but respect speaks every single one of them. All my life, when I moved here from Hawaii in 1989, over 20 years of different leadership groups and different companies in the Bay Area and in Hawaii. I got promoted 18 times in 20 years, not because I was the most brilliant person in the organization, but I believe there's a quote that says, you don't have to be 100% better than your opposition, but you have to be 1% better in 100 different ways. And that 1% better for me was to find those individuals that were working hard and to respect them authentically for who they are and what they're representing. There are different cultures in this audience today, but all of us want respect, and all of us deserve respect, especially for the custodians we have electricians, we have plumbers, we have bus drivers, gardeners, office assistants. It is because of your effort in the community and in the school system that our children have a clean and safe place to go to. Now, it was an honor when Jody Bell asked me to speak here today because my mother, for 25 years, was a custodian, a proud custodian. My mother had a 3rd grade education, but she had a PhD in motherhood. I remember that because when I grew up in Hawaii, when I was about 9 years old, I would help my mother after school while the boys went to play basketball. I helped my mother clean toilets and scrub floors and work late into the night. But she had to do that for the 6 kids that we had. We didn't have a lot of money, but what we had, money certainly couldn't buy. Come on, somebody. One day, one story inspired me, and I wrote this in my book, is when I was about 9 years old, I would help my mother clean homes. And we would clean this big home up in the hills of Honolulu, Hawaii Kai, overlooking the blue Pacific Ocean. A wealthy woman lived there. Her name was Mrs. Lee. One day, helping my mom clean her mansion, Mrs. Lee was home, and I had the courage to ask Mrs. Lee how she became so wealthy. I was about 9. I remember she looked down at me, square in the eye, and said, "Young man, whatever you do in life, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or a garbage man, you be the very best there is." And that reminded me what Frank Sinatra said. He said, "The best revenge in life is massive and total success." Or you just do what old folks say, you watch my smoke. Come on. Another thing that inspired me from my humble beginnings to try to live a life of respect is in 1993, I seen a PBS special by Les Brown. It was called The Courage to Live Your Dreams. I bought his book. I read every chapter, every page, every sentence, and I try to practice that so I can live my dreams and try to give back to the community. On page 139 of that book, there was a quote, an affirmation, I love to say it today, and it goes like this. It says that if you want something bad enough in life, you got to fight for it. You got to work day and night for it. You got to be willing to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it. And all that you dream and scheme is about it. And if life itself is useless and worthless without it, but if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all the terror of the opposition for it, and if you go after this thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity, and if neither cold, poverty, famine, or gout of sickness and pain and body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you love the most, and if dogged and grim you beseech and beset it, with the help of mighty God, you'll get it. The other thing I want to talk about before I move on is that all of us has setbacks. Anybody who watches CNN or the news knows that obviously the state is challenged with some setbacks, and it's a shame because this group here is the spokes in the rim that keeps the tires going. But I believe what Willie Jolly said. He said to make every setback a setup for a comeback. Let me say it again. Make a setback a setup for a powerful comeback. And if you don't believe me, ask people like J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling had 13 rejections from her publishing manuscript before the 14 publishing company picked her up and she wrote Harry Potter. Clint Eastwood was told in the 60s that his teeth had a space in it, his Adam's apple was too big, and he talked too slow. So what he did, he went to Italy, made a movie called A Fistful of Dollars, and became an international star. Michael Jordan was cut from the freshman team, the sophomore team, and came back and became an icon in his high school basketball team. And I don't have to talk about Christopher Reeve, who after he got paralyzed from the neck down, made several movies and then won an award for one of his movies. He did more paralyzed from his neck down than most people do from their neck up. One of the things I believe is this, because I'm from Hawaii, there's not a lot of speakers from Hawaii, so I believe that you gotta be uncommon in life. Always be uncommon, always pave your own path, and leave a trail for other people to follow. My goal, I was in Hawaii 6 months ago on ABC and CBS and talking to the students in the school system, is for them to take it to another hemisphere. But I believe they have to see it to believe it. And so I always say that whatever you do for yourself in life, you take it to your grave. But what you do for other people, you leave it behind with them. So what are we doing for the next generation before we leave this planet? Winston Churchill said this about being uncommon. He said, I do not wish to be the common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. He said, I seek opportunity, not security. He said, I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled while having the state look after me. He said, I want to take a calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. He said, I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life than the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment than the still calm of utopia. Said, I will never cower down to any master or bend to any friend. It is in my Hawaiian heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself and to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. Thank you. Thank you. I think my time's almost up, but I want to leave you. I love quotes. I love to read. I always say, if you don't plant flowers in your mind, weeds will grow by default. So I continue to water my garden. There's one quote I want to say before I leave. It's when people whine. It said, Lord, forgive me when I whine. But before we whine about the things we don't have, the bills are overwhelming, the kids are getting crazier. Before we whine about that, I want to leave you with this quote to focus on the things that you have in life. And it goes like this. Today, upon a bus. I saw a little girl with golden hair. I envied her, she looked so happy, and me, I was as fair. But suddenly she rose to walk and hobbled down the aisle. She had one leg and wore a crutch. And as she passed me, a smile. Said, God, forgive me when I whine. I have two legs, the world is mine. I stopped to buy some candy, and the lad who sold it had such charm. I stopped to talk, I had some time. If I was late, it would do no harm. But as I left, he said to me, thank you, mister, for being so kind. It's folks like you I love to talk to. You see, mister, I'm blind. So God forgive me when I whine. I have two eyes, the world is mine. Late that day, walking home, I saw a young boy whose eyes were so blue, but he stood there watching the others play as if he didn't know what to do. So I stopped for a moment and I said to him, why don't you join the others, dear? But he looked straight ahead without a word, and then I knew he couldn't hear. So God forgive me when I whine. I have two ears, the road is mine, with 2 feet to take me where I want to go, and 2 eyes to see the sunset glow, and 2 ears to hear what my heart needs to know. Oh God, forgive me when I whine. Yes, indeed, the world is mine, and the world is yours too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.